Every day, high-tech surveillance and rescue operations monitor Europe's shores for boats carrying thousands of migrants, many of them refugees from Africa. The journey across the Mediterranean is becoming increasingly dangerous, organized by smuggling rings and killing more than 23,000 people since the year 2000. The EU has reinforced resources at its border agency Frontex to help coastal countries like Italy, Malta, and Spain rescue and shelter migrants. But with the number of asylum seekers growing, EU countries are toughening their stance. Human rights groups, though, say turning refugees away goes against international law, and it's not a question of money.
Everybody talks about not enough funds, but the issue here is that in the last budget framework of the EU 2007 to 2013, it has spent almost half of all its funds on actually protecting borders and only about 17% on actually protecting refugees. So there's a discrepancy. Money is there. It's just a question of how you want to spend it. So there needs to be a specific turnaround, an explicit turnaround of EU leaders to decide that they're spending their money on actually saving people's lives.
A July EU report argues that contrary to the perceived increase in asylum seekers, a majority of millions of refugees remain displaced within Africa. A much smaller 3% who seek asylum in Europe face a difficult entry process. But so-called Fortress Europe extends beyond its own borders. European countries have been cooperating with third-party neighbors like Turkey, Libya, and Morocco to intercept Europe-bound migrants in a kind of buffer zone. Critics of tough migrant controls say refugees are being pushed to take riskier routes. But many EU states are reluctant to promote an open-door policy, especially destinations like France, Sweden, and Germany, who accept the highest number of asylum seekers in the EU.
I think the money that goes towards Frontex as a border protection force has also got to be used, some of that money has to be used to return people to countries from where they came. I mean, if you don't return anybody to any of the countries where it is claimed there is a lack of democracy or danger to an individual, then you are simply going to encourage more and more people to take that course to leave the country.
What's clear is that current EU asylum rules are disproportionate and provisions are unsustainable. As the situation worsens, prospects on agreeing to achieve a common asylum policy in Europe appear to be dimming. Sandra Gathmann, CCTV, Brussels.